I want to take you on a journey today, not just to listen to my words, but to experience something profound that will fundamentally shift how you interact with reality itself. By the time we finish, you won't merely comprehend intellectually what's been preventing your manifestations. You'll feel a tangible transformation within your consciousness. You'll begin perceiving the world through an entirely different lens, noticing not just changes in your thoughts, but in how the fabric of reality responds to your state of being. So I ask just one thing of you right now. Grant yourself the gift of complete presence. Set aside all distractions. What I'm about to share isn't information to be consumed passively. It's an experience to be stepped into fully, a doorway to a new dimension of living where manifestation happens not through effort, but through allowing. Close your eyes for a moment and recall a time when something you desperately wanted seemed perpetually out of reach. Perhaps it was a particular relationship, career advancement, financial abundance, or a specific opportunity. Something you thought about constantly, planned for meticulously, yet no matter what actions you took, it remained elusive. Now, shift your awareness to another memory, a time when something wonderful entered your life with surprising ease, something you hadn't obsessed over, hadn't attached your happiness to, perhaps hadn't even given much thought to at all. Yet somehow it manifested in your experience almost effortlessly, as if delivered by cosmic coincidence. This phenomenon isn't random. It's evidence of a fundamental principle that governs our reality, one that the ancient Vedic texts described over 5,000 years ago in the concept of akarma, the paradoxical action of non-action. The Bhagavad Gita states, "He who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is wise among men." What our ancestors understood and what quantum physicists are only now beginning to validate is that consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it creates it. The observer effect in quantum mechanics demonstrates that the mere act of observation changes the behavior of subatomic particles. Similarly, your observational state, your consciousness, is continually creating your experiential reality. But here's where most people fundamentally misunderstand manifestation. The universe isn't something that happens to you. It's something that's responding to you, not to your words, not to your actions, but to your vibrational state. And this is precisely where most seekers become trapped in a cycle of frustration. You're not waiting for reality to change. Reality is waiting for you to change. Consider how many times you've noticed this pattern in your own life. When you desperately want something, when you obsess over it, check for it constantly, and strain toward it with anxious energy, it seems to move further away. Yet the moment you genuinely release your attachment, the instant you truly let go, not as a manifestation technique, but as an authentic surrender, suddenly it appears in your experience. This isn't coincidence. This is the law of resonance described in the Upanishads as yad bhavam tad bhavati. As is your consciousness, so becomes your reality. When you're in a state of lacking, of seeking, of constant checking and verification, you're broadcasting to the quantum field that you don't have what you desire. And the universe, which is fundamentally holographic in nature, must reflect that internal state back to you with perfect precision. It cannot show you what you want when your dominant frequency is tuned to its absence. But the moment you shift into genuine knowing, when you move from seeking to having already received, the entire universe rearranges itself to match this new vibrational signature. Not because you've manipulated external reality, but because you've altered the only thing you ever could change, your own state of consciousness. Neville Goddard, who spent decades studying both Christian mysticism and Vedantic philosophy, distilled this wisdom into a simple but profound instruction. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Notice he didn't say hope for it, or work toward it, or even visualize it. He said assume it, take it completely for granted as already accomplished. When you truly assume something is already yours, your relationship with it transforms completely. You don't chase it because you already have it. You don't anxiously look for signs of its arrival because it's already present in your experience. You don't doubt or worry or strategize about how to acquire it because the acquisition is already complete in your consciousness. And that's precisely why doing nothing becomes the key that unlocks everything. The moment you genuinely assume the state of fulfillment, you cease all interference. You stop the mental chatter that contradicts your desire. You release the emotional turbulence that disrupts the clean signal of your intention. You abandon the compulsive planning and maneuvering that actually broadcast doubt about the outcome. In this state of non-interference, reality finally has the space to rearrange itself without resistance. And the ancient Vedic principle of Purusha and Prakriti illustrates this perfectly. Purusha is pure consciousness, the witness, while Prakriti is the active creative force that shapes physical reality. When Purusha remains still, Prakriti can move freely to manifest what consciousness holds within it. Have you noticed how the things you most desperately want seem to take forever to materialize, if they ever do at all? Yet the things toward which you feel calm, confident, and detached often arrive with surprising speed and ease. This happens because when you don't care about the outcome, you're not blocking its manifestation with contradictory energy. You're not attached to specific timelines or methods. You're not constantly checking and rechecking, which only reinforces the energy of absence. You're not in a state of anxious waiting, which vibrationally communicates that you don't yet have what you desire. Instead, you're in a state of flow, of allowing, of trust in the intelligence of the universe, what the Upanishads call rhythm, the cosmic order that orchestrates all things with perfect timing and harmony. So the question becomes, how do you genuinely enter this state of allowing without pretending? How do you authentically detach from outcomes that matter deeply to you? How do you stop checking, stop waiting, stop wondering when your manifestation will arrive? You can't fake detachment. You can't deceive the universe by outwardly claiming indifference while inwardly remaining anxious and attached. The quantum field doesn't respond to your words or even your conscious thoughts. It responds to your actual vibrational state, the true frequency of your being. So how do you genuinely let go without forcing it? How do you release attachment without struggling to become detached, which is itself a form of attachment? How do you stop caring about outcomes without pretending you don't care? This is where the ancient wisdom of the Vedas provides a practical framework that transforms manifestation from struggle to grace. And I'm about to walk you through this process step by step. Stay with me, because once you understand this, everything in your experience will begin to shift. The first essential step is to stop chasing completely. Whether you're conscious of it or not, you've likely been operating from what the Vedas call raga, attachment, or craving. This state of being is characterized by the thought pattern of, I need this to happen, or I must have this to be complete. And this very mode of consciousness is what keeps your desire at a distance. Every time you wonder, where is it? Or, why hasn't it manifested yet? Or, what am I doing wrong? You're reinforcing to the quantum field that what you desire is absent from your experience. And since the universe can only reflect back to you your dominant vibrational state, it must continue showing you that absence, that lack, that waiting. Ask yourself this profound question. If you already had what you desire, how would you feel about it? Would you be anxiously checking for its arrival? Would you be constantly thinking about when and how it might come to you? Would you be in a state of doubt or uncertainty about its presence in your life? Of course not. You'd be in a state of calm certainty, of quiet confidence, of peaceful knowing. You wouldn't be seeking evidence of your manifestation because you'd be living from its completion. And that precise energy state, that calm assurance, that settled knowing, is exactly what draws your desire into physical manifestation. And it's because once you stop searching for proof, once you stop waiting for signs, once you cease questioning the how and when, you naturally step into the energy of already having received. And that energy state is what magnetically pulls your desire toward you with effortless grace. So from this moment forward, make a sacred commitment to yourself. Stop looking for your manifestation. Stop waiting for it. Stop questioning when it's coming or how it will arrive. Instead, step fully into the consciousness of knowing, not believing, not hoping, but knowing with absolute certainty that what you desire is already yours on the energetic plane and is now moving into physical expression. The second step is learning how to maintain this state of knowing without slipping back into doubt. This is where most practitioners falter on the manifestation path. Initially, after making the shift into the state of completion, you might feel confident and certain. You might genuinely feel that peaceful knowing that what you desire is already yours. But then time passes, a few hours, a day, perhaps a week, and suddenly that insidious voice of doubt begins to whisper, "But where is it? Why isn't it here yet? Maybe I'm doing something wrong." This moment is the critical test of your consciousness, because the instant you begin searching again, questioning again, checking again for evidence of your manifestation, you immediately slip back into the vibrational state of absence and lack. You undo the powerful work you've done in assuming the state of completion. So, how do you prevent this reversal? How do you maintain the consciousness of having already received, even when physical evidence hasn't yet appeared? The answer is found in the Vedantic concept of vairagya, the practice of complete surrender to cosmic timing and divine orchestration. You must make absolute peace with not knowing when or how your desire will manifest in physical form. Read that again, because this is where the true alchemical transformation happens. Most practitioners can momentarily assume the feeling of completion, but they cannot release their attachment to timelines and processes. They cannot surrender control of the how and when. But when you can genuinely do this, you become truly unstoppable in your manifestation practice. Well, because the moment you release all concern about timing and method, the moment you completely trust the universal intelligence that the Upanishads call Brahman, you provide unassailable proof to the quantum field that you've truly assumed the state of completion. Only someone who genuinely knows their desire is fulfilled could be so peacefully unconcerned with when and how it appears. Only someone who truly trusts in cosmic orchestration could rest so completely in the certainty that everything is unfolding in perfect divine timing. And when you're no longer chasing, no longer waiting, no longer desperate for external confirmation, the universe has no choice but to reflect this state of peaceful completion back to you in physical form. It must, because that is the immutable law of consciousness and its reflection in material reality. So from this moment forward, whenever doubt begins to creep in, whenever impatience starts to stir, do nothing. Simply observe these thoughts and feelings without engaging with them. Let them pass through your awareness like clouds across the sky, without attaching to them or being moved by them. When you can remain centered in knowing while allowing doubt to simply drift by without response, you step into the state of effortless receiving that the Vedas call prasada, divine grace that comes not through effort, but through alignment. And that's when everything begins moving toward you with supernatural ease. Now let's explore the final step, the one that locks your manifestation into place permanently. At this point, you've accomplished the two most crucial shifts in consciousness. First, you've stopped chasing and have moved into the state of knowing completion. Second, you've learned to maintain this state even when doubt arises by making peace with divine timing and cosmic orchestration. Now comes the final element that seals your manifestation into the physical dimension. You must make complete peace with the silence before manifestation. This is where even advanced practitioners often falter. After successfully stopping the chase and settling into knowing, they expect immediate physical results. When these don't appear instantly, they think, "I'm doing everything correctly, so where is my manifestation?" And that single thought immediately pulls them back into the consciousness of waiting, of absence, of doubt. But what you must understand is that there is always a gap, a space between your shift in consciousness and its complete manifestation in physical form. The ancient texts call this antaram, the sacred interval, the gestational period wherein the unmanifest is preparing to become manifest. This gap is not a delay. It's not a test. It's not the universe withholding your desire or making you wait to see if you're serious. This gap is simply the natural gestation period required for consciousness to fully express itself in material form. Just as a seed planted in fertile soil requires time to sprout, grow, and bear fruit, not because the soil is withholding or the seed is unworthy, but because growth has its own organic timing, so too does your manifestation require its perfect timing to fully materialize. During this sacred interval, the quantum field is rearranging countless particles and orchestrating myriad circumstances to bring your desire into physical expression in the most harmonious and beneficial way possible. The Upanishads describe this process as Rita, the perfect cosmic order that orchestrates all things with flawless precision and impeccable timing. So, in this final step, your task is beautifully simple. Continue living your life in peaceful certainty. Stay in a state of ease. Refuse to become anxious or impatient. Trust completely in the perfection of cosmic timing. When you can maintain this state of peaceful certainty during the silence, when you can rest in absolute trust without scrambling to make something happen, your manifestation will not only come, it will arrive in a way that feels completely natural, as if it were always meant to be yours, and often in a form even more wonderful than you had imagined. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad expresses this truth beautifully. You are what your deepest desire is. As is your desire, so is your intention. As is your intention, so is your will. As is your will, so is your deed. As is your deed, so is your destiny. Your manifestation is not separate from you. It's not something external that must be coaxed or persuaded to enter your experience. It's the natural outpicturing of your own consciousness, the inevitable expression of your own state of being. So, from this moment forward, when doubt begins to arise, when impatience starts tugging at your awareness, do nothing. Not because you don't care, but because you know with absolute certainty that what you desire is already yours on the energetic plane and is now moving into physical expression through divine timing and perfect cosmic orchestration. So now you understand that manifestation isn't about doing more, trying harder, or using better techniques. It's about allowing what already exists in consciousness to express itself in physical form. The moment you stop chasing, stop checking, stop waiting anxiously for signs of your manifestation, everything begins falling into place with effortless grace. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to manipulate circumstances. You don't have to wonder about the when or how. Because when you truly step into the consciousness of already having received, when you genuinely assume the state of your wish fulfilled, reality has no choice but to rearrange itself to match this new vibrational signature. It must, because that is the immutable law of consciousness and its reflection in physical form. Now I invite you to make a choice. You can return to the old patterns of chasing, checking, doubting, and waiting. Or you can step into this new dimension of consciousness where manifestation occurs not through effort, but through allowing. I encourage you to take a moment right now to declare your commitment to this new way of being. Share in the comments below, I let go and it flows to seal this knowledge, not just in your mind, but in your lived experience. The ancient seers who authored the Vedas and Upanishads weren't merely religious figures. They were scientists of consciousness who understood the quantum nature of reality thousands of years before modern physics caught up. When they declared Aham Brahmasmi, I am the creative principle of the universe, they weren't making a theological statement, but a scientific observation about the nature of consciousness as the fundamental creative force in reality. You are not separate from what you desire. You are not distant from what you seek. You are not waiting for something outside yourself to change or improve. You are the source, the substance, and the fulfillment of all that you desire. And sometimes the most powerful action you can take is no action at all. Sometimes the most potent manifestation technique is simply to be still and know. Sometimes doing nothing is the most transformative thing you can do. Because in that sacred space of non-doing, in that quantum field of pure potentiality, in that consciousness of already having received, everything you've ever wanted begins flowing toward you with effortless grace, divine timing, and perfect cosmic precision. If this message resonated with you, Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this transformative truth. Because sometimes the greatest gift you can give another is the knowledge that the power to manifest their desires doesn't lie in doing more, but in being more. Being in the consciousness of completion, fulfillment, and peaceful certainty. Remember, the wisdom of the ages and the cutting edge of quantum physics converge on this singular truth. You become what you are, not what you seek. So be still and know that what you desire is already yours in the only place it ever could be, in consciousness itself.